Jimmy's in trouble and it's up to Clark and Lois to find him, but can Lois set aside her anger with Clark so they can track down their friend in time, or will they be too late? What's up, Nerdgenic Nation? Superhero nerd Aaron Wally here, and today I wanted to talk about My Adventures with Superman episode number 6, titled My Adventures with Mad Science. This episode sees Clark and Lois looking for Jimmy after he mysteriously disappeared at the end of last week's episode while attempting to find Sasquatch, but instead he finds a group of mutated scientists tucked away in a secret lab. Now this week's review is a little bit later than others, but not because I didn't see the episode in time, but rather because I had to re-watch it a few times to figure out how I felt about it. Because I know that I enjoyed the episode, but it felt very much like filler with the only bit of progression happening on the bookends. The majority of this episode is spent jumping between Clark and Lois looking for Jimmy while evading mysterious robots, and Jimmy getting all kinds of information about the Cadmus facility that he finds himself in. And despite not a lot happening to progress the overall story forward, it was still a pretty entertaining episode. I liked a bit of the lore that was related to the Cadmus facility, as that's where a lot of strange things do occur within the DC comics, though I was slightly sad to see that the Sasquatch that they set up wasn't actually Gorilla Grodd. Though I do understand why it wasn't him, but I think it still would have been cool nonetheless. One smart thing that I think the episode did do, however, was have Jimmy already know that Clark was Superman. I mean, which in this case, how could he not? Not only is he his roommate and spends pretty much most of his time with him, but he's also very into the supernatural and the weird. So if anyone could deduce that Clark was Superman besides Lois Lane, it would hands down be Jimmy Olson. And I also like that he knew but didn't want to push Clark into telling his secret, but rather trusted that he would tell him within his own time. And I think in that regard the show is very progressive in a lot of ways, which I think also adds to the overall positive vibe that I mentioned a few times throughout these reviews. And we also get the tiniest bit more information about the General that was officially introduced in last week's episode, which I still don't know who it is, but there is a mention of Lois talking about her dad in this episode. So I think just to make things more dramatic, it would be more interesting if it did end up being Sam Lane rather than anyone else. But regardless, by the end of the episode, he's now working with Anthony Ivo, aka Parasite, from episode 3. So where that goes next, we can only assume that they will continue to target Superman with their own motives. But in terms of this episode, despite it being mostly filler in my opinion, like I mentioned, it still managed to moderately set up the second half of the season. Though I do hope that this will escalate sooner rather than later, and we won't have to have multiple filler episodes that only have very slight story advancements. But this overall was a pretty chill week. It was filler, sure, but it was decent filler. And I just hope that next week we get to see even more action, even more advancements in the story, especially now that Clark's closest friends know his secret, and they can just focus on what's after Clark and juggle that with the relationship with Lois drama. But for now, those are my thoughts on episode 6 of My Adventures with Superman, and I want to hear from you in the Nerdgenic community. Did you like this episode? Did you like that it didn't really have any Superman moments in his suit, but more stayed in the sci-fi realm? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, be sure to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification so you don't miss out on any future videos, as well as my thoughts on the next episode of My Adventures with Superman. And also be sure to give us a follow across all social media platforms at Nerdgenic. That way you don't miss out on any special news, announcements, or articles at nerdgenic.com. But in the meantime, if you want even more video content from us, check out my thoughts on the previous episode of My Adventures with Superman right over here, or for more awesome DC content, check out this playlist right over here. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, we really do appreciate it, we hope to see you in the next video.